So, good morning, everybody, especially the folks joining us from across the Atlantic Ocean. Good evening, everybody, as far as you're listening to me from Europe or somewhere nearby. Welcome to the first Yocto live coding session in the wonderful year of 2020, the first session for this decade. You're already seeing that there have been a couple of small changes, mostly organizational. Um, the first really prominent one is that by now I'm streaming under my very own personal Twitch account, being named Lito the Atreides the Second, which is really close to my IRC and GitHub nicks Lito the Second. So as you have probably realized by now, please click the follow button there for me too. The reason that we've changed this is Twitch gave us a pretty hard time due to some organizational issues. But in the end, it's a positive thing because now we can let other streamers also publish content under the name of the Yocto Project, which we hope to manage and find somebody real soon. So for the people new to the project that are listening to me right now, please poke everybody that you know to present, and those who are actually quite involved at the moment already, think about stuff that you can tell to the world, and then get in touch with me, and we'll find a way so you can connect with the rest of the world. Okay, further things to get in touch. If you scroll down there on the Twitch page of the Yocto Project, then there's a lot of links that explain in how to get in touch with us. Mostly it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and also IRC. We are doing embedded. We are super old school, which means that we love IRC. It's text-based chat. There's a link that if you click it, you get instantly into #Yocto on Freenode. You just pick your nick and that's it. No login. You don't need an email address or anything, nor mobile. You can just click and instantly chat with us. Hey man, that's awesome. In contrast to all the new age stuff. Okay, I think I've covered the Twitch. I've covered getting in touch with us. So, what's the topic for today? I think this will be the most buzzwordy session that I've done so far because we're talking about containers. Containers are the new cool kid, also in embedded. Those who are doing cloud and microservice and everything already know that containers are like better than frozen pizza, and but they are also quite cool for embedded. And this time we're gonna do the really crazy stuff. We're gonna not be using containers, we're gonna be building them. And I see the question in the chat. Yes, we are actually talking very precisely about Docker containers today. Other runtimes are similar but not as easy, and I don't have any personal experience with those. So yeah, mileage by very little bit, but in the end, they're all really similar. So what is a container in the context of what we're doing, and why are we doing this? A container, if you look from it from a pretty high point of view, is little more than just a Linux user land. There's some bits and pieces going in and out there, but in the end, it's like a full-blown Linux system just without the kernel. Robert asks OCI. OCI is like, yeah, Bruce is looking into the details of the specification. You gotta poke him. I'll be just doing the really basic run-of-the-mill stuff with Yocto today, with Docker today. So whenever somebody says something is a Linux system, a classic Linux system, he she usually means a kernel and a userland. And thinking about what we are doing with the Yocto project all day, we are building userlands. We are building root file systems, which is just another name for a userland, right? So as we can build those userlands, and we're pretty good, we're being pretty good at it, we should also be able to build a container, right? And so here we go. That's what we'll be doing in the next like 30 minutes probably. It's not exactly a really long planned topic for today. Okay, so another change. I've done some major modifications to my streaming setup, so the shell might look a little different. I hope you can actually read it. If not, please scream loud or type or whatever. Robert says he has OCI already. Yes, I know it. I know it is there. I'll just not be just not gonna be talking about the details. Um, okay. So in order to be able and use a root file system as a container on the Docker, what you need is it has to be a tar GZ or tarball, basically. So what we usually the simplest way to actually do this would be and add something like this into your local.conf or machine file. Right? You can still see it. I know that there's my camera picture there. But actually, people have realized that building containers is a pretty classic topic right now. So they've prepared something for us. We're gonna look at Pocky, as we do ever so often. Pocky, uh, meta. I think it's in core. Oh no, I'm wrong. In classes and copy left, copy left, copy left. No, again. Isn't it there in the image class? I was so sure it is. What a super awesome way to start a new year, breaking stuff on the first thing to demonstrate. I knew it would be happening. But okay, let's look for it. Container here. Oh, that was a stupid idea. That was even worse. I was totally convinced it was there. Image types. Image types VB class. It says container here, right? So why didn't it show up? Live coding means stuff will break. As always. I looked at core image, but we have to look at image types. And there's also image container. Here it is. I found it. Awesome. And you can see it calls itself container, and it depends on a tar ball. So what keeps us from just giving this a try, right? Give me my. Are you hearing that stupid sound by my terminal too? Hopefully not. And actually, today, due to the Twitch setup changes, I have to basically monitor like 3 chats at the same time. So if some answers are delayed, I'm streaming in 480p. Hopefully not. Like I said, I'm trying to monitor 3 chats at the same time. which gives me pretty much of a hard time. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a problem because if I stop it right now, then the rehosting mechanism by the Yocto project will kick in. That's a problem. That's really a problem. Okay. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to deal with this for today, and I'll take care of it for the next session. Okay, but thanks a lot for the remark. I need to get this sorted out. Like I said, there has been a lot of changes. So conf loggle.conf, and so we set image.fs types is container, and our containers are meant to run on the build host or on my host system today, which happens to be an x86, of course. So I switched to generic x86 46 bits. You can see it here, hopefully. So now if we kick that off, core image minimal, our usual demonstration vehicle, and now things go boom. Like nobody provides core image minimal. Why is that? Read on. There states that preferred provider virtual kernel is not Linux dummy. What does this tell us? This tells us we are trying to build a complete Linux system which also brings along a kernel. And the container image class is intelligent enough to realize, hey, if you want to build a container, you don't need a kernel. The kernel will only just make your build slower, bigger, and everything. So please use Linux dummy. Okay, what now is Linux dummy? Linux dummy is just what it says on the label. It's a dummy class or a dummy recipe you can insert to build just the userland without the kernel. And so, are there votes on if we shall build with Linux dummy or if we shall do the nasty thing as it says here, image container no dummy? Votes in 10 seconds. As long as I break stuff here. So votes, votes, votes. No votes. No votes on Armin and Robert say dummy. Okay, we have votes. Wonderful. I love votes. It's like make everybody interact with me or try and interact with me. Okay, preferred provider. What was it name? Okay, virtual kernel is Linux dummy. Build, 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 build. I should get myself something like preferred provider. I probably mistyped something because you saw that I tried to set it. Preferred provider. Virtual kernel. Kernel. It's called kernel. Patch request to Richard. Can we get the Jeopardy sound whenever Bitbag is running? No buildable. Okay, now stuff is getting crazy. Package group core boot. I really don't want that. We need another image, right? So, okay, let's do this. Let's build another image just because we can do it. Pocky. This is like being yeah. Armin says it's a typo. I know it's a typo. Uh, I probably even knew that it was a typo. Um, core image minimal pulls in package group core boot, which in turn relies on the kernel, which we just swapped out. So we basically need an image that does not rely on core image boot. And I happen to have a layer prepared, meta containerization, um, that we can just use for this right now. We're going to look at this, the containerization, and recipes core images. You can see now I call it container image payload. We'll be talking about the payload in a minute. Container image payload, or I really need to get rid of the bell of this terminal. This is like driving me nuts. Still another thing to improve for the next session. Okay, what did I say in here? I said summary, a small container just packing the payload. Image install is only the payload. You see, no package group, no nothing, no whatever. It removes also image linguist and it builds it's MIT licensed. Oh my god. So we only want to have the payload in the container because I'm digressing from a little bit from what I actually planned as my line of explanation. Just because BitBake is giving me a headache again, and I'm breaking stuff. So this means like if we think about a container as the userland, why do we want stuff in there that we're not going to run? Think about it for a second. Whenever you pull Ubuntu, Alpine, Debian, whatever from Docker Hub, then you're usually pulling down a complete image, including package management and a lot of binaries that you'll hopefully never ever run because you're supplying the entry point. You in the Docker file. You're usually supplying exactly which binary you want to run in that container. And that's the BitBake way of saying this. This is saying the only thing we want in there is the payload. And we don't care about package groups or anything else. The only thing we want is payload. So we're actually back to the local.conf again and setting payload. I already prepared this, obviously. So this means like build a userland that is able to run whatever the bash recipe defines as bash and no more. This is what we're saying with this right now. Okay? Bitbake container image payload. It's like 20 minutes of talking in, and I've broken about everything I wanted to demonstrate so far. This is this is the year of the 20s, right? It's the 20th of January, it's 2020, and the first successful bitbag run is 20 minutes in. You know what? This calls for an early beer. I usually don't drink about half an hour in, but let's make it the 20. Skull. Okay, build, 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 build. Checking some channels, some chats. And then error. Error says bad machine. This is probably because I tried to demonstrate with a generic x86 early, and like I said, I'm digressing from my actual planned line of explanation, which was is obviously not going to work. So we have to look at something additionally in my layer, namely we want to actually pack this into a machine. If you haven't seen the sessions on machines, distros, and images, then be sure to watch it after this one. Then you will know why conf machine is the place that we're going right now. And you can see I defined a container x86 64 conf, which is basically derived from generic x whatever, just a little slimmed down. So in order to use actually that machine, a bootable image with Docker. I just see it in the chat. Let me finish the machine explanation. Once the build runs, I'll discuss that. Okay? Just a second. So we're gonna swap in that machine. Too many terminals. Me confused. So me very confused. Where's the machine? Here's the machine. So container x86 whatever. And as you have seen in the container machine file, imagefs types and preferred provider kernel are already being set there. We don't need it anymore in the local.conf. Okay, next try. It's once. So, no, it runs, right? Yeah, okay. So, possible to build a bootable image with Docker. So, but that's the other way around, right? That's like you want to build an image that brings the Docker binary and the mechanisms and is not a container, right? That's absolutely possible, but it's just the other way around. You want to use a container and not build a container. And for this, you have to head over to meta virtualization, which also happens to be on git.yoctoproject.org. This will provide means to do so, and also other runtimes and virtualization mechanisms and everything. But it's just like the other way around. Okay. No manifest generated. There's really something weird going on. Because I swear I tried this yesterday. Let's give the local.conf another look. Payload is set. Other than that, nothing super complicated. This should really be fine. We're selecting container X. Everything. Okay, we're gonna do the probably at machine or distro switching in and out give me some headaches. It happens, but we have a hot state cache. Let's get rid of temp and have some more beer. In the meantime, as usual, I'm being. Do we want Rick? Why do we want Rick? Robert, why do we want Rick? I don't actually see the relation. We'll find out. So hopefully the hot state cache will save me in like 2 or 3 minutes. And I've been reminded to repeat and repeat and repeat again. Follow the Yocto Project on Twitch and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. And Quentin probably will agree that with me that it's a good occasion to do the Yocto chant again. So I think it works best when if you repeat this like through 2 or 3 times a day. It goes like this. Recipe data is local. Configuration data is global. Have you spoken it aloud in front of your computer? This is really important. I get the question like, how can I how can I make recipe X react on what recipe Y does, like at least every second day, very probably even more often, and you just don't do that. Okay, that's just not how it works. So that's why you have to repeat the Yocto chant. So we're still waiting for temp to be removed. And we have the discussion on Wick. Robert, I misread you as it contemplated about Wick, which is interesting. Yeah, generic X whatever. Probably that was really a bad idea to give it a try. But I'm full of bad ideas, as you all know. I'm super good at bad ideas. So let's just check again that we really have everybody set straight. Now everything set straight. And yes, I promise I'll take care of the 480p. I just can't do it right in this session. Container X, yeah. Build history also shouldn't be a problem. And payload we need. There's nothing I can think of that will cause me a problem right now, other than a slow disk. Removing recursively a big temp is obviously like a problem whenever in a streaming situation. Robert says he derives the containers from QEMU x86. Yeah, I usually don't pick QEMUs as blueprints because they bring a lot of magic for the QEMU run stuff. And in the end, I just have to throw everything out again. And they're really useful, but in my personal opinion, not that well suited as blueprints for anything other than a new QEMU machine. But as ever so often, I might be mistaken. That happens. Okay, here we go again. The choice of hot state. A lot of populate sysroots. But I'm seriously wondering what was going on, because I totally gave it a spin yesterday evening to be sure I have something to show you. And then improving my explanation was probably the worst idea I did this week. Which is not that much magic involved because the week has only been 1 day, and for those of you in the US, it's even just like one morning, so there's still room for improvement in terms of bad ideas. It happens. So now, bitbake, give me a container. And finally, here we go. Hooray! More beer. Today I got asked if it's mandatory to drink beer during live coding sessions. And the answer is yes. Robert says, more layers. That looks weird actually. If I have to be if I have to be serious. I'm not gonna look it up right now. But if it does what it says on the front cover, then it might be useful. It's probably a much improved version of what I'm doing today. I'm just trying to explain and say what's the mindset. Okay, let's see. We hopefully have under temp deploy images container x whatever. Here it is. Container image payload container x. Blah, 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 blah. Hooray! Now Docker import. Docker import bash completion is like super problematic. So we're gonna do the build temp deploy images container container payload. Ding, ding. This is driving me nuts. This terminal, it has a bell function, and this bell function obviously is just giving me a ding here, and you can hear it. So whenever I go, then you know that the bell gave me a ding again. Okay, so targc docker import. I think it wants the name minimal bash right in front of it. Just the other way around. Of course, whenever I say something, it's just the other way around. Well, welcome to my life. Minimal bash. Okay, now I do have a container, and I can go like docker run interactive. I want the TTI. I don't care about what happens after the container. Minimal bash. You see, it can't even run without me telling which command binary I want. And I go for bin bash. No such file or directory. Typo. Typo. Yes, I know. Typo. So, here we go. We are inside a Docker container that that is just a bash. And just a bash means it's really about nothing. You don't have list. You don't have, oh, you have pvd. You have like whatever. We can just use cd to like get the things that we can actually do there, because there's really about like nothing. Okay, proc is obvious. Def, just the standard stuff that Docker gives us. So now we have a container that only consists of bash. Bash is usually not PS. Robert says PS, not found. Top, not found. Lame joke. What's the opposite of top? But not found. Usually you don't want like bash to be the payload of your container. Often you'll be wanting Node.js, for example. I think we should give that a try. Remove container. We don't need that one anymore. Docker, RMI, minimal bash. Here we go. So, build conf local payload payload. Node.js. Let's see. It's probably the next thing I'm gonna break. And another thing, we are looking meta containerization. You can find it on my GitHub account. By the way, I'm gonna push um, the small update for layer series compared right after the session, but it's really basically everything there. Images. We're looking at container image user payload. And why is this? Because Docker by default and all your run-of-the-mill container images always resort to root as the user. And whenever I personally run like some form of microservice or anything inside a container, I actually want it to be non-root, because containers are about isolation, not about security. And whenever a root goes nuts inside a container, it goes nuts on your machine, right? So for a really small custom container to be useful, at least in my point of view, it has to be able to run its payload as a user. And that's what we're doing here. This just adds to payload two things. It adds base password, which is a recipe slash package that brings etc password, etc groups, and all those things. And it adds payload user. And we're going to look at this right now. Payload user is a really small recipe. It inherits user_add, and it builds a user named group. I am sometimes I'm being asked about how to add a user to your image. That's how it is. I really don't want to discuss it in more detail, because it's neatly documented in the manuals, and it's just like copy example. Those are the lines. Tune them right to your needs, and be done. So we have base password, and we have a recipe that is able to set a user. Only thing, if you look, we could actually inject payload user, and if not, the user is called user. I think that makes sense, that we call a user like user, right? And ding! Oh, it's container image user payload Node.js. Let's see. I'm actually not sure if I prepared Node.js. So if this is like going exactly, that's what I meant. It's always the small things. Back to plan A. We're gonna stick with bash for now. Demonstrate the user thing. Ding. And if we're done with this, can anybody just like tell me if Python 3, if I inject Python 3 as a payload, should that be working? Like a userland that can run nothing else than that Python. I think we should give that a try in the end, right? Robert says it should work. Robert, get the webcam and talk to me about the streaming keys and present about something. You can also talk Greek, okay? Just show folks. It's easy. You can even have a beer in the meantime. So, build is finished. So, okay. Hopefully we have build, temp, deploy, images, container, container, image, user, and just for the sake of it, oh, ding ding ding, it's giving me ding ding ding. I'm gonna look at the container for a second. It's like 3 megabytes. That's cool for a container, right? How many megs do you pull for Ubuntu or for Alpine? So docker import, I know it, minimal user bash. Okay, docker run it rm user minimal user bash. No command specified. Bin bash. Does it have who am I? Users? No. Anybody have a fancy idea? ID? Not found. Fancy idea how to find out who I am. Proc. Proc will maybe give me something. Cat. Key users. How can I prove now that cat is not found again? How can I prove now that I am actually like a user? ID is not found. I told you. Oh, whenever you do you try to do like crazy stuff, then you have a hard time proving that you're actually being crazy. So the only thing that I have to like as a proof is right now that I instructed Docker. You can see it as -u user that it has to run as a user, and it doesn't complain about it. What shall I do? I can't even touch probably. Echo, echo. Let's do echo. Echo, like here. No such file or directory. I know. Echo is around. Where could we pipe to? Like the question is it possible to bind def in order to run a graphical application? I know of a trick to not bind def, but bind xhost and inject temp whatever exertion. That's a neat trick I use occasionally, but it's not like exactly attacking the DRI itself. To be honest, I don't know. If you want the pretty fast accelerated stuff, I'd have a look at QEMU. Um, for latest Yocto builds should support Virgil. So you can actually like use OpenGL inside QEMU onto the OpenGL stack on the host, which is pretty neat. It's Alexander who made that magic possible. If you meet him, buy him a beer or whatever he drinks. So, 45 minutes in, I've talked a lot of crazy stuff. I broke a lot of stuff, but we actually made it working. So, I'd say we're gonna give Python a try, and then we're gonna wrap it up for today. Docker RMI minimal user bash. I don't need that anymore. Conf no ding docker.conf j Python. Let's just give it a try for absolutely no good reason, right? So while Bitbag is churning off, as ever so often, please remember the whole thing, like follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. Do we have Instagram? I think we have Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. In joke, follow us on TikTok. I don't think we have an account there, but we should have one. I've been told that you can like just post video snippets on there. And if we ever have a TikTok account, we should just like post logs of booting QEMUs, right? I mean, how cool would that be? Just for no good reason. Just because we can do it. Okay. Python. Whoa, I'm getting Python 2.7. That's actually quite funny because I'm on master, and master won't build without Python 3 on the host. That's why I'm using a container outside too. And it refuses to build using Python 2. And now that I'm trying to add Python into the container, it gives me Python 2.7 again, which is like like a blast from the past. But hopefully I can just run the container in Python. Let me just Google a Python get user ID, if that's possible. There is a snippet on Stack Overflow that tells me how to get user. Let's see if that works. Maybe I can prove in Python that I'm a user. I think that would be funny. But the build is taking a little bit longer than I actually would have hoped. Is Python so big a chunk to compile? Why is that? I don't get it. I mean, it's old, right? Python 2.7 is old. Old things are meant to be fast in compiling, just to make the youngsters feel like bad, as the new stuff is like slow and bloated. Actually, I read an article lately which complained that that Windows 95 altogether was smaller than an average keyboard application for Android, which is quite an unfair comparison. Yet it's funny. Maybe if Windows 95 had been written in Java to run on Linux, it would have been bigger too. Main reasons for programmers slacking off. My code's compiling. Robert says, if I want to prevent root from doing nasty things, yep. Cap drop is the obvious catch-all. But again, there's way more elaborate ways to construct your container and also to run it than I actually am doing right now. This is really like the bare bones of thinking about a container as a root file system being built by the Yocto project. This is what I'm doing today. And if Python is not finishing really soon, then I'll just stop the session and feel like bad because I messed it up so much. Quick poll, did I mess up more than usual? I'm uncertain. I think I've had one that was one session that was really bad, where I think that it was the one where I tried to do a kernel development. I shouldn't really do kernel development. That will be like nasty each and every time. Python to package. Richard, can we get that Jeopardy sound patch, please? I mean, I'm serious. Over SSH. I want it on SSH. So whenever my build server is like bit baking, I want to have Jeopardy bit playing on my terminal. Okay? I'm just talking random stupid stuff to make up for the time, and checking some chat if anybody had Echo user. That actually is a really good idea. Thank you. Do I know your nick? I think I do, but I can't remember it. BitBake gives you brain defects, I know that. Thank you, that's a good idea. So, do rootfs. Hopefully we're done soon. Tar, complete. Come on, yes, finally. Okay, for the sake of completeness, we're gonna look at the size now too. Build temp deploy images, container, ding, container image, oh, ding, ding, ding. 18 max for a complete Python. Well, let's see what happens. Okay. Docker import minimal user Python import. Okay. I, I promise and I swear I've never tried it in Python. So whatever happens right now is totally live coded. Minimal user Python user ding bin Python. Woohoo! We have Python 2.7 running in the container, and now I'm gonna find me that snippet from Stack Overflow to find out if it actually worked. Almost. I think that's okay, right? Yeah, we're running as user, right? Or did I get it wrong? Anyways, how does one quit Python? Ah, that's the way. Okay, that was the stuff I wanted to show for today. 56 minutes in. I think that's okay. That was about the time slot I wanted to give it. The meta containerization layer is on GitHub. Will be updated in the next like 3 hours. Once I finish my evening, I'm gonna push it so you can play around with it a little bit. Thanks everybody for watching, for joining the conversation, and again, follow us wherever you think you can do. And if you happen to be a newcomer, poke others to tell in live coding sessions. If you are already a pro, join me. Okay? So here's the final reminder slide. And then, thanks everybody. Have a nice day, evening, and finish your beers.